Okay, very interesting update with the Nexium trial here. Claire Bronfman, Seagram's heiress, fainted in federal court. She fainted after a judge asked if Michael Avenatti acted as her lawyer. And this is tying in with several other big stories going on in the news. I'm not sure how closely these things are connected, maybe potentially more than we know, but people probably familiar with Michael Avenatti. There's also CNN analyst Mark Garagos, who is acting as Claire Bronfman's lawyer. So he was a CNN's legal analyst. CNN just let him go over another major scandal currently ongoing with Mark Garagos and Michael Avenatti as well. Garagos was fired from CNN just this week. He has since also he is also defending Jesse Smollett, so it also ties in with that case potentially. All these things connecting together, very bizarre. This is what they're saying. The key points we can open with. They're saying Claire Bronfman, an heiress to the Seagram liquor fortune. The Bronfmans are also very close friends of the Clintons. And the mainstream media has tried to downplay this connection, but they are longtime friends of the Clintons. Edgar Bronfman, this is Claire Bronfman's father. Here he is pictured with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. Edgar Bronfman, his daughter, Claire Bronfman, is the main person funding this cult, this human trafficking cult, Nexium. Also, another thing that the main media is not touching on, although the mainstream media, there are mainstream media sources that talked about this back in 2015 when people were already suspicious about this group. Very bizarre, I guess expected, as there are people from CNN and other media sources that are representing people from this cult. So there's some kind of collusion with the media covering up for this human trafficking cult connected to the Clintons. They're really trying to cover this up now, but you have mainstream sources, Times Union, very generally unbiased source. Even mainstream outlets would say that Times Union very unbiased. They were in 2015 talking about this being a potential issue. I imagine it would still be a problem that Hillary Clinton's emails were hacked through Claire Bronfman. They were hacked by Claire Bronfman through communications between Clinton and Edgar Bronfman. So that's Edgar Bronfman. That's Claire Bronfman's father, who's part of this cult. Edgar Bronfman connected to many different politicians. So they hacked these emails that he had with a lot of these high-level contacts, including Hillary Clinton. So Nexium had access to all these communications between Bronfman and Clinton. Bronfman's part of the cult, would absolutely be something that they could use for blackmail potentially. Meanwhile, the mainstream media now is trying to downplay the connection between Bronfman and the Clintons. They're doing everything that they can. They took one bogus claim that said that Bronfman was a Clinton aide that was actually paid by the Clinton campaign. Bronfman's a multi-billionaire. The Bronfmans are the ones that donate money to the Clintons. It's not the other way around, as the media was taking this bogus claim and using that to try to discredit all the connections. They're downplaying all the real connections and only focusing on the one bogus claim, obviously to try to distance Clinton. Other politicians connected to the cult as well, and Hollywood connections. I've covered this on this channel for some time. I won't recap everything, but Allison Mack was one of the lead members of this cult as well. Allison Mack tried to recruit other people in Hollywood, and other members of Nexium also tried to recruit other people from the entertainment industry. Emma Watson was one of the people that was approached to join. She turned down joining Nexium, so Emma Watson did not join Nexium. Kelly Clarkson was also asked, but Allison Mack is facing charges. She was part of the cult. Bronfmans and their connection back to the Clintons. Once again, another very close tie between the cult and politicians has to do with Kirsten Gillibrand, another major contender potentially for 2020. This is going to be one of the main people that the Democrats are going to try to run against Donald Trump in 2020. Kirsten Gillibrand, her father lobbied for Keith Raniere. He's the leader of this cult. Here he is with the Dalai Lama too. Trying to raise the profile of this whole organization that they were running later been revealed that they were doing human trafficking. They're facing other charges as well. These are the key points to talking about that just happened in this most recent court update, where Claire Bronfman collapsed after a new connection, further tying this cult to the media, further tying it to Clinton and others potentially. This was the connection. These are the key points. Saying Claire Bronfman, an heiress to the Seagram liquor fortune, fainted in federal court in New York City on Wednesday. So this was just yesterday. This week, a judge had asked Bronfman if she had been secretly represented by embattled celebrity lawyer Michael Avenatti. The judge asked Bronfman if she had previously been secretly represented by Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti, of course, represented Stormy Daniels in this other case that the mainstream media was trying to push Stormy Daniels and Trump. They were trying to use that against Trump previously. Obviously, Michael Avenatti's been very outspoken against Trump too, and was even suggesting that he might run for the Democrats. He might run on behalf of the Democrats against Trump. Seems unlikely with all of the trouble that Michael Avenatti has gotten into lately himself. They note that they describe him as embattled celebrity lawyer Michael Avenatti. They asked if he represented Bronfman. That's what the judge wanted to know. That's what he asked Bronfman. This case, Bronfman is being charged with money laundering and identity theft while being part of the accused sex cult NXIVM. Bronfman's apparent collapse came 2 days after Avenatti was accused by federal prosecutors in Manhattan and Los Angeles of trying to extort Nike for up to $25 million. People may have heard of this update, another just recent update in the last few days. Very interesting that this is all happening at the same time. Avenatti is accused by federal prosecutors. Just in the last few days, this has come out, this huge extortion plot against Nike for $25 million. This also ties in with this CNN legal analyst, Garagos, as well, this Nike extortion plot. And it just so happens that the same two lawyers, Avenatti and Garagos from CNN, that were involved with this Nike extortion plot that just finally was exposed in the last week, those two lawyers both happen to be representing NXIVM, the sex cult. Here's Garagos with Claire Bronfman. Here they are actually pictured together. And now we learn that Avenatti as well, both lawyers, the two of them, having to do with this extortion plot, $25 million, also connected to NXIVM. In this other case, this extortion plot, they're saying that Avenatti worked to defraud a client out of a legal settlement and defraud a bank by offering the lender bogus income tax returns. They expand here. They get more into the connection to Garagos as well, saying that Claire Bronfman, an heiress to the Seagram liquor fortune, fainted Wednesday in federal court in New York City after a judge asked if she was being secretly represented by embattled celebrity lawyer Michael Avenatti in a case where she's charged with money laundering and identity theft involving the alleged sex cult NXIVM. After Bronfman's fainting spell, it was revealed in open court that Avenatti had, in fact, last week, met with federal prosecutors in Brooklyn about her case. Avenatti had, in fact, it's been confirmed, met with federal prosecutors in Brooklyn about Bronfman's case. So according to a knowledgeable source, they have not given details on the meetings. I do have a link to the actual CNBC, another mainstream article here talking about this. I'm just trying to stick to some regular sources as they are trying to debunk everything. They're really trying very hard to debunk this. A lot of mainstream sources still, so I'm just trying to stick to the most regular sources that you, the audience, can use and share. And this is verifiable information here. So to continue forward, they're saying with him at the sit-down, joining him at this sit-down, so they had a meeting after Bronfman's fainting spell. It was revealed that in open court, Avenatti had last week met with federal prosecutors about Bronfman's case. With him at that sit-down was a lawyer known to be representing Bronfman, fellow celebrity lawyer Mark Garagos. It's the one from CNN, who has been identified as an alleged co-conspirator of Avenatti's in a purported scheme to extort sneaker giant Nike. Prosecutor told the judge in the case Garagos has not been criminally charged with Avenatti. Bronfman's apparent collapse in U.S. District Court in Brooklyn came 2 days after Avenatti was accused by federal prosecutors this extortion plot. They're saying that the hearing in Brooklyn was called to apprise Bronfman of the possible conflicts her lawyers would have in representing her in her own criminal case, given their potential legal exposure to the same Justice Department that is prosecuting her. While Garagos has filed an appearance in Bronfman's case as her lawyer, Avenatti has not, despite meeting with prosecutors about her. So is that further evidence of a cover-up, potentially? Going further here, they're saying NXIVM's supporters have said it was a self-help group that wanted to change the world for the better. They've been trying to spin the organization that would represent it that way before. Federal prosecutors claim it was actually an illegal pyramid scheme that funneled money to its leaders and offered its spiritual leader, Keith Raniere, access to sex slaves. Bronfman is the daughter of the late Seagram CEO, Edgar Bronfman. She is free on $100 million bond. Again, you can still find many pictures of her father, Edgar Bronfman, with Bill Clinton, although I have noticed that they're getting kind of downranked in the search results. I'm wondering if they're trying to erase some pictures. I mean, some of them have been shared so much that they will likely never go away. But the many photos of various events, parties with Edgar Bronfman and Bill Clinton, I like to include them and actually show them in video. I showed you one at the beginning of this, but you go back through my past videos, I always try to show a picture of the two actually together, because I do believe that they're trying to scrub this information. The judge, source told CNBC, was asking Bronfman about Avenatti when one of her lawyers objected to the line of questioning. One of her lawyers tried to stop the judge from asking about Avenatti. The judge then held a sidebar conference with lawyers out of earshot of reporters and others in the courtroom. Judge was very upset because he had not been informed that she had retained Avenatti. The judge didn't even know this info, which was not disclosed to the judge last week before he held another hearing to discuss possible conflicts of interest that could result from Bronfman funding the attorney costs of her co-defendants. There's another article that's just been posted in the last hour. This was the one talking about Avenatti and Garagos and the explanation by Bronfman. Again, you have the picture here of the two, Claire Bronfman with Mark Garagos, has been fired from CNN after he was revealed to be a co-conspirator in this $25 million extortion plot, a separate plot. Very interesting that that's exposed at the same time that we are learning about both of their connections to NXIVM, both lawyers. Garagos has nonetheless still been making comments in the media, and of course he's also represented Jussie Smollett, this other huge hoax conspiracy, I guess you could call it, the mainstream media, all these other sources. There's also possible connections, but people have looked at ties between Jussie Smollett and doing events with people like Kamala Harris, another high-profile Democrat. So people have wondered if if Democrats, I believe there's a connection with the Michelle Obama aide as well that got involved in this case. There's a number of different Democrats that were tied to Jussie Smollett before this case and that may have tampered with this case. Those charges have been dropped against Smollett. Were the Democrats responsible for getting Jussie Smollett off the hook? Mark Garagos of CNN, also representing Claire Bronfman and NXIVM, he is defending Jussie Smollett, but he has continued to make comments in the media since Michael Avenatti's arrest as well. So he's still talking about this. Former CNN legal analyst Mark Garagos, reportedly the unnamed co-conspirator in the criminal case against celebrity lawyer Michael Avenatti, has been fired from CNN, tweeted for the first time since Avenatti's arrest in defense of his client, actor Jussie Smollett. Garagos did not address reports that he was involved in Avenatti's alleged attempt to extort Nike, but rather declared Smollett a victim after the actor was cleared of charges by prosecutors. So he's going out to the media trying to say that Jussie Smollett was a victim of his own hate crime hoax thing that he found. Bizarre case with that as well. But Mark Geragos, this name continues to come up in all of these different cases. This is another article that I just pulled up before we went live. This has just been posted very recently. Another one from the New York Post saying, giving a few more details about the court case yesterday. Claire Bronfman collapsing in court yesterday. They have a few more updates, again, just on Geragos and Bronfman. They're saying that Seagram's heiress, an alleged NXIVM cult money laundering Claire Bronfman, has drawn the line at Michael Avenatti, axing the indicted on both coasts attorney after briefly retaining him, her lawyer revealed. But she's keeping her other criminally entangled celebrity lawyer, Mark Geragos, whom she admitted she found online. That's what Bronfman is claiming. Geragos has been named in multiple reports as the unindicted co-conspirator in Avenatti's Manhattan federal court case in which he alleged to have shaken down sneaker giant for over $20 million. Avenatti is also charged in LA court with federal bank and wire fraud. You didn't get him from the internet, did you? The judge asked Bronfman of the lawyer that she is keeping Geragos during a brief hearing in Brooklyn federal court about her legal representation. Actually, I did, Bronfman said. I did find him on the internet. That's what Bronfman's claiming. I'm not sure if you can believe, if that is believable or not. That's what she says. They go on, they say that Geragos, who has not been charged with a crime, has been all over the internet as lawyer for former NFL bend a knee quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Geragos is also Colin Kaepernick's lawyer. He's also self-proclaimed hate crime victim Jussie Smollett's lawyer, as we just looked at. According to media reports, was all Geragos would quip when asked by reporters if he is indeed Avenatti's co-conspirator, neither confirming or denying the reports. Bronfman let slip in court that despite her inherited liquor fortune, she hasn't had a drink in many years, she's claiming. I mean, these are all claims from Bronfman, and she's making in court. She was asked as well if she's feeling better. The heiress, after she fainted, she was asked if she was feeling better. The heiress had swooned and nearly fainted in court on Wednesday after hearing Avenatti's name. I am, thank you, she answered. You know, I was just scared yesterday. The whole situation has been very stressful. I'm very clear now. When the judge asked if she had any alcohol in the past 24 hours, she said not in the last 14 years. Shocking NXIVM case also includes accused sex cult mastermind Keith Raniere and Smallville actress Allison Mack, who was allegedly his second in command. Continued to follow this case, obviously, as well as the other connections that have been brought up. It's been a very long time that NXIVM has been operating, and again, the mainstream media, you can go back. Here's another one from the New York Post. This is an article that I regularly bring up just to show that all the way back in 2007, you had mainstream outlets, the New York Post, talking about NXIVM's $30,000 donations to Hillary. They mention both Bronfman and Nancy Salzman in here specifically, and more connections to Clinton as well. So this is not just something that's being talked about in some kind of fringe corners that's just been brought up recently. These are connections that people have talked about and have been known, and just as this case is finally escalating now, it's like they're trying to bury this information that was available for a long time, and they're pretending that it's just info that was made up all of a sudden now. That's what many of these so-called fact check sites, these other mainstream sites, these other news sources are. Of course, you're not going to see this on CNN. If you turn on cable news or CNN, I'm sure you're not going to see them covering this case. Does that have anything to do with the fact that their main legal analyst was representing Claire Bronfman, who's funding this entire cult? I mean, CNN also has connections to NXIVM. It's not even like they're trying to hide it at this point. Let me know what you think. Case continuing to go on. Obviously, some interesting updates here. I do have a link to my Patreon account in the video description, patreon.com/realityreader. You can help the channel over there. $1 or $2 even makes a huge difference, helps me keep talking about these issues. Also have a PayPal link. You can help there. And link to this full article. You can look at this one in full. Tell me what you think so far. Leave a comment and I'll follow up soon. Thank you.